playing field a little bit, because where are the safety requirements at Airbnb and things like that, and where's the accountability? The worst they'll do is say that they won't list you anymore. When a story comes out every now and then, where the shower head is a 35 millimeter camera, the Airbnb, and it gets out, they go, we're not listing them anymore. It's like, if that were a hotel, they would be getting sued. They're getting sued. So where's the accountability?
I think you could still sue the Airbnb for that, too.
I think you could sue anybody for anything. It's a matter of what you're going to get.
It
but
is.
I think that
there was a woman who sued herself at one point.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, I never heard
for
of
what?
that.
They bring up that.
No,
for what?
It's okay.
See, nothing's in the memory; it's all on the screen.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't have to remember it because guess what? It's on the Google.
Yeah, you just don't understand the weakness of that statement.
I understand it.
I don't need a girlfriend. I've got the internet.
If I ever had to remember something, I'd be basically crippled.
Wow.
He's
dropped a lot? Anyway, as long as we all know what our weaknesses and we know how to work them and work around them.
If you know your weakness and you know how strong your weakness is, and you keep that gap. I really measure people with their perception of themselves and who they really are. And if that gap is reasonable, that's fine. But if you weigh 300 pounds and somebody asks you and you go 150, no, you're demented. Something's wrong.
Yeah,
but if
something not right there. You meant both legs. 280,
yeah, both legs, the whole body. But do you see a point where, because I think the tap into model is given a new life to it. But I see these things that give new life. They giveth and they taketh away. Is that in the back of your head?
I don't know what would be taken away with what we're doing now. We've taken something where there was almost nothing and created it. And the worst we're going to do is if somebody took it all away, is go back to nothing.
But remember when people were blogging and everything, and then see you're in a middle ground because everybody can produce content on their device. Mm-hmm. But the same talk I have with everybody from the media is that, but where's the quality? Where's the regulation of content?
I agree.
And there's no accountability. I could put something out there and call my, mainline blog and put something out there that's completely wrong, inaccurate, no research, and back away from it. And you put something out there where you spell somebody's name with a C instead of a K, and then these, these trolls come out and jump on you, or you miss up a date, and they jump all over you,
It's very true.
And there needs to be that, and I always use the same story about, I think it was Charles Kuralt working for Edward R. Murrow, and Edward R. Murrow, he was doing the copy for a story, and there was a soldier or something injured, and Edward R. Murrow said, retype the story. The soldier's name was Chris something, and he spelled it with a K, and Charles Kuralt spelled it with a C, and he said, what does it matter? This is radio. He said, it will matter one day. Retype the story. Back when you couldn't backspace and do it, you had to retype the story. And there's a lot of power to that. There's a lot of power to that because we don't hold ourselves accountable for that. I remember when I first met you, I insulted you by saying,
hi.
I said Edward R. Murrow would not be caught getting out of an Uber to go to his story. What has the world come to?
It's very true.
Because you said, I don't drive to these things. You get trapped in the middle of it with all the police activity.
Yeah.
I get the guy.
Fire truck pulls up behind you.
Yeah,
you're there for the duration.
I'd never seen a reporter get out of an Uber. And the Uber guy knew you because you left something in the car. He called you.
He came back and brought it.
He came back.
He didn't even call. He showed. I looked at him in the parking lot. I was going to dial him. He's like, "You left this in my car."
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. Let me give you a couple bucks for that. No. I was stunned.
But there's a certain amount. That's a good use of it because there's a certain amount of wisdom to a local reporter Ubering to different things because it's all going to be short distance trips, not a lot of money. And you don't need a car. It's sitting there the whole time and going to get boxed in or whatever. And Uber, you can be out there and, you could Uber. You're not going to bike around Lower Merion. You don't want to be biking around at 60 years old because you'll get killed. I have many excuses for not riding my bike, but I think I'll probably die. One way or another, I'll die. Someone will text and kill me, or I will just have my heart will shoot out of my chest and I'll run over it or something. But
well, listen, I wanted to give you a tip.
Okay.
And do you know what Udemy is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Most people don't.
I love it.
For about $13, you can buy a course. And by the time, now, you might have to make sure you get the right one.
Right.
Because there's a lot of courses, and there's 400 on each subject. So you do have to look at the reviews. But Udemy, and I think it's Udemy, right?
Yes, it is.
I just took a class, a journalism class, from Johnson University on Udemy for $13. Now, I also, since I do a lot of my own database work and stuff like that, I took a course on how to do Microsoft Access.
Right.
Because I just didn't know how. And that was, I think that course was on sale. I spent $9 for that one.
They're currently having a sale when they're 90% off sales. So a bunch of stuff is $9.99. Journalism course, Dan Rather has a great course on there.
Really?
Took that. There's another one called Skillshare.
Does it have a good ending?
The whole thing is good. It's one of,
what's a Dan Rather joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. But you know when one of these courses is good is when you find yourself taking out a pad of paper while you're listening to it and writing down notes. And there's one called Skillshare that's like Udemy, but they charge a monthly fee. It's $9 a month. The courses aren't as good and as polished, but there are some really good courses in there, and they're much shorter. And there's Corsica. There's another one, Corsica, that's very similar. But Udemy is my go-to. When they have their 90% off things, I spend $100 on courses to get me to the next one, and I pick their leadership courses, and it's because one of the things that I have to keep my mind working.
Right.
I have to keep your mind as a muscle.
Do you know why you need to keep it working? So you can read that map.
So you can read that map, so you can think yourself out of that situation, so you can communicate. It's just you have to keep yourself trained to learn. Or else you stop and then something's going to skip you by. There's choices I make. There's things that I've decided I'm not going to learn. I don't want to learn.
Right.
I become my grandmother and dig my heels in and say I'm not getting in that motor coach, or whatever, because that's what it's going to come down to. At some point, there's going to be some technology where they go, oh, if you just have this implant into the side of your head, your whole life will change. And I go, no, I don't need your magic implant. I'll be fine. But I do want to learn. Now, I do have a little prejudice on when I'm doing a Udemy course. I have a little prejudice I found. I look at the instructor and I look at the other courses they have, and I see how far they were extending themselves. And I look at the samples, and I find a little bit, if somebody is too young and they're calling themselves an expert in something, I find myself saying, you can't, you haven't even got you're not even dealing with the acne on your face, the acne there. You're not an expert yet. Stop throwing around the word expert. And I have difficulty learning from people that speak fast. I have difficulty learning from people that speak in thick accents. And a disproportionate amount of online studies is by young people that speak fast and thick accents sometimes. And they like to start these YouTube things out with these blazing graphics and this music that has no place. And they just start talking to you about something, and I stop caring in the middle. That's why Dan Rather was my speed. I enjoyed it. But Udemy is much better. How many courses have you done on it?
Oh, I've probably taken 20 over the last couple of years.
I love them.
I can have 5 Udemy courses going on at any given time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like back in school. You know, which class am I going to now?
It's very rare that I will take one and finish just that one. I jump
agree.
between it's row your boat. Does your wife take them?
You know, she doesn't, but she's always taking Google related stuff, and it's not really on. There is all that stuff's available on Udemy, but
it's a lower level.
She goes right to Google and gets more, I think, in depth.
Yeah, Google's hardcore with their stuff and their education on it. What do you and your wife do for fun?
We did tell you we have 4-year-old kids, right?
2 4-year-old kids. That's
so
like an 8-year-old.
We do nothing.
No. Let me rephrase that question to what I should ask. What does your wife want you to do for fun?
You know, it's a great question. And her answer would be, I want him to be present.
Yeah, I think that's every woman's answer.
I'm honest to God, the fact that I could even come up with that terminology, I must have heard that at least once, right?
Yeah, I think that's every woman's thing.
To be present.
Be present.
So I literally do try to do that. And one of the things, like, I haven't looked or touched my cell phone since we've been here. And by not touching your cell phone, looking at it, reading it, caring about it, some people loving it, nurturing it, and everything else, you can get a lot of life done and be really happy.
Like, what did we used to do before we spent 2 hours a day on Facebook, you know?
I don't know. And you are on Facebook because you message me.
I am.
And I tell people, don't message me. I might not answer you for 6 months because I'm never on Facebook.
When you send out the thing saying, I can't find this station, I just send it out over every media.
And I got it.
I just send it out over everything.
Yeah,
it's like, man down.
I could, you know what? Here's what I did. I said, okay, I got to remember the address where I'm meeting Mark. And I remember Jeffersonville.
Of course you did.
You know, I'm kind of wedded to Jeffersonville, but I couldn't remember the address for the life of me because it came in as what I thought was a text, which I have since found out was a Facebook Messenger, which I don't know how I saw it in the first place. But the fact that I couldn't remember the address just proves what this is happening to us.
Right.
We're just becoming the most intelligent dumb people there ever have been.
Yeah.
You know, we know so much about, it's like kids going to school. Can't tell you a lot about George Washington. Can't tell you a lot. I just talked to a kid the other day, 24, 25 years old, never heard of Auschwitz. And I probably pronounced that wrong. Had no idea what it is. But he could tell me some technological things about science and weather and this and that would make your head spin.
They can give you tidbits, but they don't know history because everybody believes that history started the day they were born. That's what I see more and more.
I don't know. I used to believe the schools were the problem, not teaching history. So I actually have some acquaintances, my wife's friends, that are school teachers, and I've talked to them. One fellow, I won't say the high school, but at a pretty preeminent high school in the suburbs, teaches math. And I said to him, dude, why don't you guys teach these kids things? And we had the same conversation, history, geography, such and such. And he said, we teach it, but we can't hold them accountable to it. Schools will change grades. Schools will call them in and a review and say, you know, you're not working well with the parents, meaning you gave Johnny a D when Johnny should have gotten a F, or you gave Johnny, a D, and the school district wants you to give him a B to keep him in. He told me this story about a kid that had, I call skipped, didn't attend class for 100 days.
100 days.
100 days. So I started thinking, I think there's only 220 school days in the year, and it might not even be that much. So roughly half of school he missed, and they graduated him. The school had him change his grade, which I just find deplorable.
Well, they do that now in employment because they want to kick you along. They don't want you back as a problem, a recurring problem. I saw it on some comedy thing where it was part of a skit, and it was they called it foisting. And foisting is when you dump a bad employee on somebody by giving them a good review because you don't want to risk getting sued by having them.
Yeah,
so you dump them on somebody else, you know. And you know, as I've been listening to you, you've got a great voice for